All right, guys, big power clap. How we all doing? Fantastic. Yes. 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 Awesome. I am really excited about today. I know I'm excited about a lot of subjects that we come over. Sometimes excited about stuff because it's new and it's fresh and it's fun. Sometimes excited about stuff because I don't know, I'm just interested in it. Sometimes I'm excited about stuff because it's like it was there since I started coding, and it's like it's something that hasn't really evolved all that much since I started coding. And that's where we are right now. MySQL's been around since 1995. I started using it probably in 2000, maybe professionally, and here we are, like 18 years later, and it's still releasing new versions of it, like every whatever. I think the latest version came out just a couple months ago. It is a back-end relational database, right? What have we covered so far? Non-relational databases. This is a relational database, meaning that they'll contain a bunch of tables that will be referring to themselves. We have to set them up in advance, and we get to use it just like we use our other, just like Firebird. I don't want to say Firebird, but Firebase. We'll use it the same way, except for with Node, we're going to install a package that's going to be MySQL. We'll be able to interact with the database. But today, we're just going to be setting up the database, setting up everybody with MySQL Workbench. Did you get anybody who has installed MySQL Workbench so far? Okay, cool. So we'll walk through the process of it. We'll walk through the connection, right? Which our version of MySQL Workbench will need to be able to connect to our computer, right? Which will have a running server version of it, okay? And then we're going to create databases on our server, and then we're going to create some tables in the database. So that's going to all happen today. Unfortunately, today is the only day that's purely about MySQL. Coming Saturday, what you guys will be doing is interacting with MySQL using Node, and then kind of a little more advanced stuff with MySQL and Node on the following day. So today is the only full day we get, and there's not enough time. Like I said, I've been doing this for like 18 years, MySQL. Honestly, I have. And I read through the lesson plan. I was like, oh, but they missed this, oh, there's this, and there's this, and there's so much stuff that isn't covered. But we just gotta get through it, and then we'll figure out what we're missing and what we need to understand. I want you guys to come in on Saturday just so strong about MySQL that it's like, wow, we totally know this stuff. So what we're going to do today, I crossed out SQL Pro just because I kind of want us all to have the same version. So does anybody install SQL Pro or not? Good. If we all use Workbench, then there's just going to be, setup will be easier, walking through some of the tutorials will be easier. We're going to create a local host connection to MySQL server and have everyone successfully connect to it. So we set up MySQL Workbench as a software, and we can connect to servers, right? They don't necessarily need to be on the machine, but they can connect to other servers that live out there that have database, right? We can set up database connections to everywhere, right? For today, we're going to set up the local host. We're just going to connect to our own computer. Does that make sense? Okay. We're going to successfully create, use, and populate a MySQL database with data. So we're actually going to set up a MySQL database and populate it today, right? We're going to do this all based on the command line. So I'll show you guys the GUI ways to do it, but we're going to try to all do it based on the SQL statements. Yeah. So not only are we going to populate it, we're going to be able to select data from it. And we have time at the very end. I'll cover some ideas, the concept of joins, which is something that you guys will have hopefully a full understanding by the end of the class. Just a little bit of history on it. MySQL is the best of the SQL databases. It's open source, and it helps you the foundation for other relational databases that use a similar syntax, right? What are some of the other ones? Microsoft SQL, which is MS SQL, right? Postgres, right? Which is one I'm currently using for a project right now. And Firebase is another one. Did I say Firebird? And MySQL. Those are like the main big ones. If you learn this language, if you learn SQL, which is a sequential query language, you will know how to do the basics in all of those. Does that make sense? Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
Oracle's another big one.
Oracle's another big one. Sure, that's a heavy one. Yeah, I mean, you're really sure. And who owns? Right. So a lot of that syntax are coming in. I think of Oracle as kind of that back end, you know, it supports the big stuff, but you know, you need to know it. Oh, one thing I want to talk about today, and I know we have to rush through this, but I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, you know what? When we're learning like full stack development, we're learning a little pieces of each thing, right? We're learning a little bit of databases, a little bit of front end, a little bit of back end, a little bit of everything, right? The larger the company is, the more refined your role is going to be, right? So it's not likely that you'll be doing CSS and you'll be doing MySQL design, right? Does that make sense? Now, the smaller the company is, the more roles that you're going to fit where you're doing all of it. And especially if you're like freelance, just working on somebody's website or application, and Simon, you mentioned this too, right? You might be doing all of it. You might be doing the HTML, the CSS, the JavaScript, the backend syntax, Node, right? You might be designing the database, writing the queries, and be in charge of security, right? So you might be like this whole full stack. But the bigger the company gets, the more refined your role becomes. So I just kind of wanted to let you guys know that's kind of how this piece works. So if you go into your first interview like, oh, I really want to be this kind of developer, having that other stuff on there is going to be a bonus. But most likely, depending on the side of the company, your position is going to be pretty defined, right? So in my last role with the LASIK group, I was a senior application developer. My role was back-end development. The front-end guys, they supplied the CSS, the JavaScript, they supplied all the SAS, all of that. I didn't deal with it. I didn't even deal with the database. I just did the back-end coding, right? I just used a framework. So the database guys, I would meet with our database experts, right, our DBEs, and talk to them about what my application needs to do. They would come at me with the architectural design. I'd come back to them with bounce back and source. IT would push it into production. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different roles that are part of it, but my role was very narrow within that company. Now I'm with an organization where I'm literally doing all of it. You know, so it kind of depends. So I just thought I'd cover that. Does that make sense, guys? Just kind of like piece of information. If you didn't know, like that's how it works in the real world. Either you're this or you're this. You know. Rarely are you all of that in a big company. Go ahead. We're all going to love SQL. No. And one of my former lives, I was a DB. I strictly worked on architecture of databases, which I love. It was a ton of fun. It was a lot more about strategy and architecture and design, right? Project planning, laying out of how things are going to work. No coding whatsoever, except for SQL, right? But having that kind of niche of what you're interested in, okay. So we want to get everybody installed with this application. So we're supposed to spend some time here and just make sure everybody has it installed. If you already have installed, awesome. But let's get through that first. So if you do not have it installed, please raise your hand. And we're going to just walk around the room, just make sure everybody gets it installed. Just please verify your installation by opening up MySQL Workbench if you already have it installed. Awesome. So we're done. Okay. Oh, you said it was
Oh.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You guys, please print it up if you have it. Ready to go? We'll walk around and help you install it if it's not installed. So please raise your hand if you're having trouble installing it. What's that? What's Oh, no. That's something when you're in your 20s. What are you doing?
Everyone I looked at, just like searching stuff. Like, no,
So I got a It's not a check. I don't even need them. So we drive Is that all good? Good. Gotta move on. Thumbs up, you guys good? Yeah? Okay, guys, are we all in? All ready? Awesome. So go into preferences. We're going to disable the save updates piece here. So we're going to preferences. Disable preferences. I'm sorry. So MySQL Workbench preferences. I think it's just that MySQL and preferences. Oh, is that on Windows? Okay. Right here. So you see a safe. We're going to uncheck it. So yeah, once you get in there, it's a SQL editor. It's a SQL editor, and then there's unchecked site save updates. Uncheck. Yeah, you might have to scroll down to see it because it's kind of towards the bottom. We all get it? All right. Cool. Basically, that makes it so we can do some stuff in development that you wouldn't typically do, like installing or deleting keys that might be a primary, you might have a foreign key associated with it that is restricted. This just allows you to do all kinds of deleting across the board without having to worry about any kind of restrictions. And that's not typically something you do in the real world, but something that's going to be needed for this class. Does that make sense? Do you want me to clarify that? Check it back later. Is what I'm saying. Okay, cool. All right, well done. That's SQL, guys. All right. I actually expected that to take longer, so I'm so glad it didn't. I don't want it to because I'm like really excited to get moving on this. So, all right. So, as long as we're all there, we're going to set up a connection. Oh, guys, I just wanted to mention this too, Pierre. Well, everybody, this part of installation of MySQL or installation of any application or working through this, that part of the debugging, like something didn't work right, I need this extent, oh, I need this prerequisite, I need this other thing, that's a lot of a developer's job, right? Is troubleshooting that type of stuff. There's going to be situations where in a workplace like this doesn't work, I don't know what to do, you can't throw it out the window. You need to try to Google what's going on, try to figure it out, walk through the steps, okay? I just wanted you guys to see that that part of that exercise isn't atypical. Okay, so we're going to set up a new connection. Then the connection name should be localhost or something to that effect. All we're doing in this situation is pointing to our own machine with this, all right? We're setting a connection to our own computer. The host name will be 127.0.0.1, right? New connection, it should be like a little plus sign. Let's find out. All right, so once you're here, there should be like a little MySQL connection and a little plus sign. You see it? All right, you can set the username to root just so there's consistency. If you want to set up something else, you can, but when you're troubleshooting, I just like to have everybody consistent. Set a password is something if you want. I set mine to blank, but feel free to set just a real easy password. It can be just root. I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter. Obviously, in the real world, we would want to do something a little more creative. But, just for this example, no one's going to have access to our local machines but us. So in this case, we can just set a default boring password. We will leave default schema blank because we're going to set up a lot of databases. So we don't need to specify our default to one specific database with this connection. So I'm changing. Are you changing it? You're adding this. Is this already in there as a connection? For you? You have a little connection already? Okay. Is everybody else set up with this then? Okay. All right, we'll just give you guys a couple minutes with that. Yeah, keep it as root, and then set a password as root if you want to. Right now. Oh, yeah. And then okay, go ahead and try the test connection, guys, and see if you can get it to work. Connection. Raise your hand if you just not connect. What's up? You guys,
Oh, yeah, no, I just double. I don't know what everyone else is getting.
Yeah, give it a second. Kind of restart, try again. It'll end. Yes. Or, oh, it's just stop there. Yeah, hit okay.
Not a choice.
Give it a second.
I'm not sure he's working.
All right, give me a second, guys. Where did you see that, Virginia? I guess I was already running, so I don't know.
Are you guys all able to connect or? No one's able to connect. I wouldn't think. Anyone didn't actually solve. Work on it. I don't know.
What's your opinion?
What's my opinion on it? Well, it's owned by Oracle. It's open source in most cases, but there are business. Oracle paid $1 billion for it. Like, it's a very good product. It's widely used. I would say the bigger problem to me is that of relational database, which is what MySQL is. So we have much more relational.
So it's just kind of like
It's not replacement, but it can be used in place of it. Yeah. The big difference there is that MySQL is a part of schema. A schema is basically, we have to talk about this. But basically, think of MySQL as like a series of Excel spreadsheets. Each Excel spreadsheet is a table inside that.
I'm going to go over all this stuff. So help people get involved.
Don't get ahead of yourself. Yeah.
Okay.
Boy, wow.
All I can say is, we should need something. The workbench, it's just visual.
So, like, I guess we'll see the appearance is fairly similar to Firebase, but is it like an Excel or Firebase?
It overlaps Excel with like so. That's like what I like. Yeah. But there are real differences. This year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, that's why.
You don't have any. So you're now inside.
That's your
This is true. Let me see if I can go on. So you sale.
Are you getting that? Yeah.
Now you're that. I guess I would. Servers. So we're trying to. But this is basically.
I love it.
Who has got it installed? Anybody raise your hand, who has got it, instance running? Nobody's got it running? Nobody's got it running? How are we starting? Yeah, there's a couple other things we can try to, but,
Well, that's fine.
this is, yeah, man, started,
And I imagine HP. Sorry, MySQL. Well,
Which one?
download MySQL.
That's what I'm trying to.
Workbench should include. The version that we did. This is exactly what I downloaded. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, let me get it. Yeah, maybe. Okay, guys, so the theory is the client program itself does not include the server itself. Which, is that what you did? Which server did you download, Tim? Yeah. Yeah, it would be really cool if they give us a type of error message, right?
You can't access MySQL. They're trying to connect.
Actually, wait, so that was the link for Mac.
Okay.
Just Google MySQL server,
Okay, so if you're a Mac user, use that link that Tim set up, and that's going to install the actual database server, whereas we already installed the client that'll get to the server. Hopefully that'll clear things out.
There's a lot of files.
So yeah, that link that Tim just set up, if you're a Mac user, I will send it. So I just linked out the Windows version. That's fine.
Chad, you missed our this.
Which one do you want?
So we got I'm putting it in. I told you. Just a link to it.
On the left, right here.
Use
Which one's the other one? Yeah, guys, depending on what type of password you want to put on it, use a strong. If you just want to use a legacy, it's going to be less of a credentials needed for your password, like less like uppercase, lowercase number, that kind of thing. So if you want to use the string one, you just have to have a proper password. Yeah. So, that's the next one. You downloaded. So. You found it. Really? Yes, go ahead. Don't put that. Get it?
Yeah, I got it down. I got it downloaded.
You're actually there, so go ahead.
Oh, no. I see what you're saying.
Binary stars. They get the one that they are binary. No, it's good.
Yeah.
If you move the trash, it's like we give you another error.
Yes.
That's
Chris? Yeah.
Do we want the test suite one, that's 230, or do we want just the regular?
Or just use the regular ones? Yeah, the other ones got them all.
I did, but.
Just do that. Yeah, don't do the debug binary. You can. Okay. Well, that's, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so it's true.
As long as it's
Right now,
That's the same. You already saw it, right? You get things, I see more of it.
So I got a test the starting once where I got to log in.
Should we try the command? Yeah. All right, who has installed Azure Ryan thus far? Raise your hand.
No.
Nobody. Awesome. Good. Have you gated it? Okay, so you completed? Then. Okay, so go back. Okay, go to. Okay. Transfer this password. I believe so. You guys, what did you have on? I think I saw. Okay. I have no. You saw this. No, I don't.
Well, that means we're in, right? Yes.
No, so so
Well, I think you, but whatever.
All right, everybody, feel free to Google your error.
So I've solved it on the Mac here.
Okay, what do you get on the Mac?
So for those of you guys, look, if I may, Chris.
Yeah.
So when you install MySQL via the link that Tim slacked out, and you run it, Chris, have you run it on this?
Oh, yeah.
Then if you go on your Mac, of course, to System Preferences, there should be a MySQL property or kind of tool in your System Preferences. And you can, now you seem to be running a different version than what I was using with Joe. Joe, you downloaded the same thing that Tim slacked out. You should be able to reset your password for your MySQL instance right here in your System Preferences. On Windows, I'm not exactly sure. There should be a MySQL application, like a GUI that you should be able to run on Windows, and you may be able to access this tool there.
You can start there then.
Well, you can, the version that we were working on there with Joe allowed us to change the password right here. So if your password wasn't correct, you could reset it here, and we were able to get it running there. Yeah, you looks just like what we have here. So this looks more right. Okay, so in your cases, if you guys have a button to initialize database, click that. Then now choose the legacy password encryption.
What do you look at MySQL, what's that show?
No, so I'm just showing this for just Mac users. Now, if you go and provide like what would be your MySQL password, you may enforce it.
Yeah, that was you. That's your actual. Okay.
You're able to set it. Okay, so you can start. Start. You've already changed it. Start. Okay, so it's running. So now go to MySQL workbench. And now click on the here to edit. Here to the top left. Top right above. There you go. A wrench and gear. Well, they go together. One. So if you go back to the store, you come to the password, you just type in the system purposes.
Awesome. Well, that's right.
Did yours? Okay, so try hit test connection. So you're in. Okay. Okay. You cancel it and change the username. So click on the gear, the wrench. Sorry, the wrench. Did I say gear? Change. You have a username. And you click start and then there you type in the password that you enter. This is right. You choose legacy. I am. Okay. If I could, can I send you two out into the world to help other fellow Mac users achieve G?
Did you guys get it going?
Yeah,
Okay.
Use my alpha. Go out and spread the good word. So you're on the back. We'll get people on it. So.
Okay. I was trying to follow along with you guys, but right now I have that little ring. Yeah, that's, yeah, I was system preferences, no problem. And once I actually typed in my password.
Now, very well. Any other Mac users needing help? All right, ready? Initialize that. Okay. It's actually, yeah, click the. You have type of costing type of set the legacy connection. Seems like it doesn't work. Okay, so it's not worth learning. We have legacy reference to get these legacy. So not the finer parts, it's just so. So go ahead and initialize that. Choose the legacy password.
If that matches the
System password, yeah. You should take a second. Yeah, right. So now say start. Now it's running. Now back.
No, I think originally I did that. I'm changing.
Then you can say. Or run. Yes. But you should be able to just, yeah, there you go, right click. Now just click on this. See your schema, that's why I have to work.
Back to workbench.
Okay, guys.
Well, did you try to, you started?
Your system.
That looks more like what you like an actual pop-up versus.
Give it a second.
All right. You're a miracle worker. Thank you.
So man has my still. So basically, it's now it's running. Now I have it here. Now go to storage. Now hit disconnection. You are in. Now click on. Now just check. Second.
Seriously, right?
Now we can start creating stuff. You guys all set?
I got a rough with all this, but
Now all your PC users, we're just gonna leave you hang. You get no help. It's okay. Database, yep, use legacy connections. This is gonna be your new database password. Yep, this will be the password for your database. Good, sir. Now this is your system frames. Take a second.
I got some Windows and example, but I don't know how to use it. How many are using PC then? How many are using Windows?
Start my
Okay, you guys two join?
I'm
Hey,
good.
I don't think that actually works like this.
Are you sure? Hang on, I'll be right there. So now go back to MySQL.
It works here, but it doesn't.
Hey guys, if you're using a Windows machine, can you,
That's your.
are you guys working on it? We gather around. Or you're-
So it works.
Yeah.
Right?
You choose us.
Yeah.
There, if you have any tools.
I have shake and.
No. Okay, guys, Kenneth just slashed out something. On the Windows machine, this is what we'll need to do to install the server.
Thank my.
Yeah, do the top version of the MSI installer on the Windows machine. Everybody there? Duncan? Okay. Yeah, it's a little one. Which one do you want?
I did my best.
Oh.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Look the legacy compatibility once you get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I record my screen a lot.
Who are?
Do that one.
The dude, you're the one that's 15.8 minutes.
It's like, it's like my nose.
You guys good?
2 hours of that.
I'm sorry, this is. You guys good? You good?
Yeah.
You got run? I got that.
Yeah.
You got right? You got right?
Eventually it crashed and came back. Send me a message on Friday.
Yeah.
So I just like to remember the systems.
Yeah. So she was like,
So
but his dimensional knowledge. So all the
So one we have not yet. It's better. I'm kidding. Are you like take a picture? It can be.
So I just really slowly do it.
Maybe that's just.
Yep.
Those we had different stuff.
You do this.
You're very welcome. Keep doing it.
Not easy to listen. You weirded me out. Like you had like mouth all the time. Like I have I He's more browsing. When did you lose like a little Oh, okay.
What?
So funny.
I think I feel good. Link for parents or link to your profile, so you can see that one's like, I don't know, that could be Full summary, full summary. Yeah. Full summary.
And then like, when I send you, so that.
I think this is like if you're walking.
Guys, who's on the windows that hasn't got installed yet? Okay. Okay. Yeah.
This is just. Oh, it's amazing.
No, don't break it. It's a good break.
That's just one. It's like August.
I'm not miserable. I'm from Wisconsin. Podcast role. That's one of my
Probably they
It's so funny. That one I don't want to mess like I don't want to mess classes.
Bartender?
Just into the summer.
I know.
Yes, sir. I guess everybody that matters is in. Oh.
All right, guys, I am so sorry that took so long. The directions were so clear. Like, oh, have everybody just install SQL and get it working, and there we are. Okay, now everybody uninstall it. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to go over some stuff pretty fast so we can just jump into this, guys. All right, do a big power clap. All right, ready? We're still working on you. You're in the best hands. All right. Okay. All right, and then you guys still work. All right, so you guys still working on it. All right. So next video, you guys are good. Okay. So I just want to cover this real quick. We have the connections. You guys understand how the connection piece works? This is connecting to your own server. We have our own server running on our machines, right? We're going to be setting up schemas. Another word for that is databases, right? We're going to set up databases on the machine. We said a couple just to start with. I'm going to run a few on my machine just to kind of show how it all works together, right? So let's do this first. All right, and since we're kind of behind, you guys can kind of walk with me if you want to. Otherwise, we'll do this anyway. Yeah, give me 2 seconds here. Okay, so this is, oh, you guys can't see that very good. Oh, shoot, this is not going to get bigger. That's for search, yeah. I'm going to have to do it in something else and then just bring it over. Okay. Is a better thing? Yeah, okay, I'm trying. Oh, there you go, that'll work. Awesome, thanks, dude. All right, guys, real quick. So this is basically how the commands work, right? So I can create a database by doing something simple as create database DB. You guys are getting a chance to do this on your own. But I just want to walk through it. What I'm at in here is like a query window, right? I can create databases, I can drop databases, I can insert into databases, update databases, I can join databases together, join tables together, all within this, right? It's the most powerful part of the database. It's literally commanding the database to do stuff, right? So I'm going to go ahead and run this command. I could run this command by hitting the lightning bolt up there, and that'll run all the commands in the editor. If I use the lightning bolt with a little cursor, I'm only going to run what's highlighted. Okay, it's really helpful when you have like a bunch of different queries on your page and you only want to run one, you highlight it with the cursor and then hit that little lightning bolt. That make sense? Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead, since I only have one thing on here, I'm just going to go ahead and run it. Right? Boom, boom, boom. Okay, created animals. Boom. It says down here I get a little update. Ah, that's really small. Nothing I can do about that one. Maybe that one gets bigger too. No. What's that? Yeah, but that one's already there. All right, so I did need to refresh. I know you guys can't really see this. Can you see it? Not sort of. All right. Well, I just created this animals DB, right? This is going to be a database. In a sense, this is creating like an Excel spreadsheet, right? Where I can have multiple sheets, right? In the same sense, I'd have multiple tables, okay, or columns that are set up within an Excel spreadsheet, right? Maybe they'll have like a person or school or address or phone number, right, in an Excel spreadsheet. In the same sense, I'll have this set up in the database, right? So in the database, it's going to contain multiple tables, right, or multiple sheets that'll interact with each other, right? So in the sense, well, all I created was a animals database. All right. So now we're going to create a table. So I'm just going to get rid of this. I'm not going to reuse it. I already created it. Can't wait to walk you guys through this. We're gonna be pros, and we're gonna be rushing through it, but we're gonna all be super experts. How many of you guys have used SQL at all in previous lives or any type of just a little bit? A couple of you guys, good. What's up here? All right. Okay. So what I call animals. Cool. All right. Let me walk through this real quick. Okay. So this is what a SQL statement looks like. Okay. In this case, I am using the database that I created, right? Animals DB. I'm creating a table within the animals database, right? The animals database is going to be the full encompassing piece to this project, right? But inside it, I'm going to have a lot of little tables, right? So in this example, I'm creating a people table. I'm just going to call it people, right? And in Excel, it's just a sheet called people in the sense, right? I'm going to have a one column in the Excel spreadsheet called name, right? I'm going to have another one called has pet. I'm going to have another one called pet name and another one called pet age, right? Those are my columns, all right? This is how this piece works, all right? So first of all, let's start here, right? I have the first column name, right? It's going to be a varchar 30, all right? What that means is it's going to be a variant character, meaning it could be a number, could be an integer, could be a string, could be any of those types of things. The length of it can be a max of 30, but the system will technically resize it to whatever size the value of it is, being its variant, the varchar, right? If I specifically said it was going to be a text 10, it would be text 10 no matter how big my actual value is. Varchars will be your most common data type that you use within SQL, always. 30 means that's what a cap is. If you have a name that's over 30, it's going to truncate, and depending on what your application does, it'll either send an error or it'll actually cut it off, depending on your setting. Not null means that we must have a name in this field, right? So there must be a name, okay? Can anybody tell me what the has pet column includes? Let me call you guys for one part. Go ahead, son. As pet. It's going to be true or false, right? Okay. What does not known mean? Yeah. Can't be empty, right? Good. That's it, right? How about pet name? Can somebody tell me about that? Go ahead. Sure. Right? It allows for a null value. Okay, that's exactly what that means. You don't necessarily need to have a pet name. You get it? Right on time, right? Nice. Gotta upgrade your phone and your computer, man, and we'll be all set. Never. 20 years from now, like, this is my trusty iPhone 5. All right, great. Okay, so pet age is what? Anyway, if I put in Bob, what do you think will happen? No. Integers data type length is what? And meaning what? 10 digits, right? So no, good thinking that it would maybe only allow us 0 to 10, but this actually says there can only be 10 numbers. So your pet age can be 1 trillion. All right, so let's run this without the extra comma. If I'm in this database, I don't necessarily need to say use animal, but that's just saying, hey, when you're going to run this next command, you're going to be using the animal database. It's as simple as that piece of it is. All right? Do you guys fully understand this command? Do you understand the logic, at least, what's going on? All right, fist of 5. Awesome. You guys are gonna be pros with this Saturday. I know I gotta rush it, but we're all gonna make it. All right, check it out. We added it. So I got a nice little green arrow meaning hey, something happened. It says how many rows are affected and all that, but none of that really changed. It just meant something happened. So in here, I should see it. Now I don't right away because I mean it's not super real time. I can just refresh it, right? And see, ooh, refresh all. Where is it? It's supposed to be there. Let me just reload. Did I automatically? Oh. Oh, there it is. Sorry. Okay. All right, so check it out. Now we got our people table, right? So all the columns are here, the name, that has pet, the pet name, the pet age, right? It's all kind of built into it. All right, you guys with me so far? All right, cool. Let's see. I'm trying to think if I should create a database or not. We're gonna get into actually like populating it. But I think for this first exercise, you guys have the instructions for the setting up a database. You said just like it. Just you and Nick. Yep. Cool. All right, so I'm gonna leave the code up on the screen so you guys can see what that all looks like to help. Okay. All right, guys. So I'll put the syntax back on the screen so you guys can see it. But essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new database, right? We can call it like favorite DB, whatever it is, right? We're going to create a new database, and then within that, we're going to create table for favorite foods, table for favorite songs, a table for favorite movies. Okay, each one of those will have its own set of properties. So let's take a look here. Okay. So this is what the syntax looks like for creating the table. Should I include the syntax for creating the database, guys? Okay. Yes. Something like that. Note the semicolons, guys. Very important. I know you can kind of fluff off in JavaScript, but with SQL you cannot. You always need to use semicolons. So it's a good practice. Once you're done with the command, that's saying you're at the end of this command, start a new one. All right, you guys think you got it? Awesome.
Other come case.
That's a fantastic question. It is case sensitive. Some databases will only allow you to do uppercase. Some will allow you only to do minor case. So whatever you feel like. No, I'm saying some. Yeah. Keep in mind that you aren't doing the use animals or create people. Don't, yeah, you guys aren't doing that part. That was just for the example. So what you're doing is what's in the instructions. The only thing you'll be doing that's up on the board is the create database. Oh, that's a comment. Sorry, it's not dash is a comment in SQL. So use the instructions. I just left up the create database piece up there so you guys can see how to create and how to create a table. Yes. Drop. Drop it. Okay, so you might find out you put the database table in the wrong database. That's why the use is so important.
You ever seen search?
So it's not like anything.
You guys seen maybe search very nice?
I guess.
You guys have been to? Yeah.
It's like splendid.
Or it's like. Guys.
So, Still gets the job done. That's what you can ask for.
It's kind of like he was, something else, it's just. Yeah, guys, the reason why you get a different syntax color with the name is technically that's a reserve value, so it's just highlighting it, so that you can ignore it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Also, anybody hasn't seen the copy of that, so. There's modestly.
Yeah. Like I said, it's just above room temperature, just slightly the niche above.
There's decaf. Oh.
It's decaf too, so if you're 80. I don't know. Sometimes there used to be water when I first started, and I thought that was awesome. No. Yeah. Because there'll be a few things out of the scope of what's on the board. You'll see an auto incrementing code that you'll have to look up, and you'll also see what was the other one? Setting a default value, which is really obvious once you see it for the first time.
Yeah, so
It'll be clear.
bar chart stands for variable characters. So it's just like a fancy way of saying a string. You can think of like that number at we're storing like literally like an array of characters. This is just a data type saying or something like a string. Eventually, so at this stage, kind of, it's different than what we've been doing right now. We're just sort of describing this place where we're going to store value. So then you can do like a yeah. Yeah, eventually. Yeah. Yeah, let's finish this off and do like a closing.
Are you guys figuring out the default syntax? Figuring it out? The auto increment? Cool. Hold on. Yeah.
So basically what we're doing is the table is sort of like an Excel spreadsheet. It has some columns, which you'll have record rows. So you might have yeah, we'll learn sort of to like certain data, select data, database. Then eventually over the next couple days, we'll learn like. Yeah. We can get that. But so the next sort of so similar to maybe how we this is another really common
Holy
I don't know what I'm.
You guys good?
You just read all of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's his favorite song already. Well, yeah. 'Cause that's only gonna realize. I like just. Yeah. There you go.
So if something's already there, then it stops at that point.
Well, if you have a full script, it's gonna run through it all. That's where that cursor one's kind of nice because you can say, okay, just watch it. So otherwise, it's gonna run the entire script.
Okay. Okay. It doesn't run like JavaScript where it just runs top to bottom.
Yeah, it's
So if that was above it, it would be able to comprehend that and just break that down.
absolutely. Good conditions, all that stuff is actually on the problem. They can get really complicated. Is that good?
Yeah, I guess.
And I'll explain what that means once you get the second one. You don't. So not now should be capitalized. Always. SQL command themselves, always capitalized, last variable themselves. That's otherwise it'll be 45,000. But what's nice about Quattro is it'll. Oh, yeah, so yeah, that primary. That's part of the problem, but yeah, you don't necessarily.
Okay, so for creating this database.
So right click on favorite foods. It's like roast. Yep. And this is the actual tip. So you got this. Nothing's in there. All right, guys, how we doing? Fist of 5. Who's done? Who's done? Who needs like just 2 more minutes? Who needs 2 more minutes? All right.
Yeah, well, this way it's like. infinite array, like a second.
All right, guys, real quick, power clap. All right, so what are some cool things we learned? What are some fun things we learned about our SQL statement? Auto-increment, right? Right here, right? So there's a lot of different properties we can add to each column to specify. There's even more than next, right? We could, but an auto increment is basically what? Does anyone want to explain what that is? Auto increment? It's like plus plus, right? What it's going to do is create automatically, if I add a record, right? If I automatically add a record, a movie, 5 times whatever, so whatever score, whatever this is, it's going to automatically create a number on the first column, the ID, right? The primary key, right, means a couple of things. One, that it can't be duplicated, right? Two, that it's going to be unique, right, which can't be duplicated, and it's going to be unique to this particular record, right? So if I'm calling in favorite movies from another table, I know that that ID 1 from favorite movies is going to point to this particular movie, right? Does that kind of make sense why we need an ID? Just kind of like when we worked with arrays and indexes, right? You were able to assign, right? In the same way this kind of works. The ID will be 1, the movie will be whatever, under 100 characters, not null, right? We'll have a 5 times, which is, I'm not sure what we call that, but as a default of false, right? A score will be integer, a number that's 10 digits. And then we're initializing saying, hey, the primary key of this is going to be the ID. Now, why do you think I'd want the ID to be auto? Why do you think I'd want it to be auto increment? That's right. I'm not in charge of it. I don't have to worry about it, right? So if I create a table and I didn't have auto increment and I set it to the primary key, I'd have to be pretty sure that I didn't use that ID before, right? So when I'm writing an application, I'm like, ID is going to be 1, ID is going to be 35, ID is going to be 12, right? I don't have to think about it, right? MySQL is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Gonna do that for me, right? So as a primary key, I can ensure it's going to be unique, right? And I can ensure it's going to automatically auto-increment when I'm inserting values into these columns. You guys with me on that? Go ahead. Why do you guys want to ask the question?
Why would I need to know?
That's an awesome question. Yeah, thanks for bringing it up. So why do you think I would want an ID?
For the very same reason that 3 here guys were born at the same day in the same hospital. Right.
Yeah. What year
So my cousin. So the only thing that differentiates us because we also have the names, but it's our social security.
Right. All right, there you go. That's a perfect example, right? Because there's 3 Pierres born in France at the same time, and they have the same middle, first name, last name. How do I know that they're different? Their social security, their social security numbers are
Yeah.
All right, but it's unique.
Yeah.
Right? So therefore, in that sense, right, a unique value, I'd be able to point to the right Pierre. Right? So in the same sense, if there's Lion King here is Lion King's Hassan's favorite movie, right? Right? Lion King's Lindsay's favorite movie, right? And Pierre's favorite movie, right?
Yeah.
If I search Lion King and I want to see who I'm talking about, right? In this case, I can't just say, let's see, select all where movies is Lion King, and then have it be the right person, right? I'd have to do it by the actual unique identifier. Right? And I'm going to walk through how that whole piece of this works. But I want to just kind of explain that part of it. Okay? What would be a good reason why I want to set a default? You guys think? Well, yeah, for one, I don't need to specify in code necessarily, right? I can just assume that's going to be that value. And in some cases, maybe when I'm initializing a first record or inserting my first record, right? Maybe I'll leave that particular column off because later I'll have the information I need to supply to it. But as default, I don't want it to be null. I want it to be false, right? Later on, I can change it to true. Yeah. Okay. I think it depends on the. I wouldn't say it'd be best practices because once again, this being the open source version of this, right? It's going to encompass the most generic version of SQL. I would use true and false just because that's what we're doing. And like I said, we could copy and paste this into other relational data servers, right? We could do Firebird, sorry. We could do MS SQL, right? We do Postgres. This would actually all work in all those databases. And perfectly fine, because they're all like, you don't believe me yet? Let's find out. No. Right. What's T stand for, Nick? That's right. So all this stuff that we just learned is accepted by all of those databases. My point is, that's true at the level, but as the SQL gets more complex, you just can't make that. But I didn't say going forward all time MySQL will exist in all databases. I said what we just learned would, right? Generic stuff like this, syntactically, Microsoft MS SQL will be the most widely accepted between databases. Like stuff in MS SQL won't necessarily work in MySQL or any of those because Microsoft made their own standards, right? All right, guys. One thing you haven't seen with this piece of it is this. For the example of this class, I want to be able to recreate the database. So there's a drop database if it exists favorite DB, right? That could just be drop database favorite DB. And what do you think that would do? Huh? Delete, just hose the whole thing, delete the whole thing, right? But now I'm saying, just because I don't want to error, right? It might error my entire statement. I'm going to say, okay, drop database if it exists. That way I can run the script a billion times. And if it already exists, I'll just rewrite over it. Right? Go ahead. No, and I can't wait to show you some horror stories of why that's a problem. This is why user authentication is super important, right? As an administrator of a database, you could set certain users to have certain permissions. You might only want them to do insert and update records, right? Not have control that deleting the entire database, right? So that's why that part of it gets so tricky. That's a good question. What do we want to go through here elsewhere? Let's take a quick break, guys, and then we're going to come back to the next really fun part. Done. That's why the scripts are so important. Yeah, in a sense, it's not. But you can store those scripts. That's generally how it's done. Is the actual SQL script will be stored someplace, and then updates will be stored through version control as well. But a database administrator will be the person that's actually making the changes. Thanks, Kristen. I just 15 minutes, guys.
Very good.
Yeah, right. So this is an example. So it's saying, that would, wow. Even though so that's coming out of there, all the. Right. Yeah.
Having a hard time. I don't see it. I don't. It's fun. Once you get it installed. The sore spot. I feel
Oh, now.
Yes.
Right. All about Just one. Born in the night, born. I live in junior high. And like, they had to wear it like this, like, so that they could all touch on the belt.
Yeah, it's like.
Yeah. Required, no required thing.
What do you mean?
Like, how Christian sent out the little thing saying like this is not technically required.
Oh, the homework?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just I don't think you.
So like this one's 13, 17 not required.
Yeah,
And you still miss.
you might have to ask the TA. I'm not sure. I don't know.
And if we submit,
I mean, I think the required ones you all have to do, but I think the not required ones you get an option to skip to. I think
okay.
out of those ones.
But out of the required ones we have to, no matter what.
As far as I understand, and you can probably get a second opinion on that.
And if we submit a crappy not required, that affects our grade negative.
Yes.
Does.
Yes.
So it's better to submit nothing than a crappy stuff.
No, crap is better than nothing.
But then it affects your grade.
But oh, I see what you're asking. I got a better question for you. If you submit 2 crappy ones that aren't required, does that equal 1 not required sort of crappy one?
I would allow it. I don't know.
I don't know either. No. I got a big hard clap. All right. All right, guys, we're all back. All right, we got a little bit of ground to catch up. So I want to make sure we get it. Really? All right. Okay, this is Bobby Tables. If you ever look it up, it's funny. You guys get it. Basically, the guy. Yeah, I mean that's funny, but yeah, if you have to explain it, it's not as funny. All right, good. Yeah, it's like my mom. All right. All right, so let's do this, guys. I'm going to add, okay, let's start off this way, though. Do you think that there's any data in any of these tables? No. Why not? We set all those defaults and everything. Right. No, so they're empty, right? So how do I know that they're empty, right? So I'm going to just do select the people. Okay, let's just run it. It's all from people. I got to use that database, I guess. Yeah, but yeah, we'll stay away from that for now. But yes, you're absolutely right. Okay, so here's my result. Really small, but we can see it. So there's no data. It's a name, has pet name, pet age. What does this look like to you guys? Anybody kind of recognize what that looks like in any other programs? Excel, right? We're all kind of used to that. So that's kind of what that looks like. What's that? Okay. All right. You guys all right? All right. So let's insert. So this is what it looks like to select, guys. So all I'm doing here is select. The asterisk is a wild card, right? Meaning it's going to select everything, right? It's going to select every column, right? I could specify. I could just say, if I wanted to in this, I could just say select name, right? I could say select name, and I could say pet age. Pet. How are you guys doing? Pet age. What's that? Okay, so all I did was in the actual space over here, I just select all from people, and that gave me my results. Right? Cool. All right, so I'm going to comment this out. All right, so oh, is that not working my SQL anymore? Is that another thing? There we go. Yeah, it's starting to call. Right. Sorry, yeah, best practice is to use all caps for commands. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm typing fast and I feel like I'm kind of in a rush. But yeah, so that would be proper. You should use all. That just differentiates between the actual like columns and values. Just by using all caps will allow you to kind of keep that separate. And like I said, if you want to be syntactically correct for multiple different systems, all caps would be the way to go. In fact, there's some databases that won't allow you to do camel casing or anything in the table. They need to be all caps as well. MySQL is not one of them. All right, cool. So let's see what this looks like to add something, right? So I'm going to insert into. Let me just do this. Sorry, guys. All right, the dash obviously comments things out, right? So I'm going to insert into people. That's my column, and I'm going to add a couple things. I'm going to add a name. I'm going to add a has pet, which you guys know is a Boolean. So if I left it off, it would automatically populate it, right? And pet age. Okay. Oops, sorry. Keep consistent. There we go. And we'll do, what else is, so that's my first value, right? For has pet, I'll just put true, right? His name is Bucky. No why. And his age, Bucky's getting up there. All right. Okay, so check this out, guys. Notice how I use the quotes. Why did I use quotes? Sure, right? Easy enough. 23, why didn't I use quotes? It's an integer, right? So it doesn't need it. Within my SQL, just best practice leave them off, if it's in. True, right? Just a Boolean, doesn't require quotes, right? If I put quotes in, it'd probably fail. Right, so I'm just going to go ahead and select this. Boom. Down here, you can see, if you guys can see, it says my command, one row affected, and how long it took to run that statement, right? So let's comment this out and see if our record's there, right? All right. Oh, gosh, it's so small. I'm so sorry. See, we got Phil has pets. You convert it to a 1 because it is a Boolean, right? And obviously, a 1 takes up less storage than a true. So it just stores it as a 1, right? Bucky is the name of the pet. Pet age is 23. All right. You guys see how to insert? So I'll add another one, right? So I'll just keep all this stuff the same. Here's Bob, true. All right, I'll keep it. Pants. 40. Oops, 145. Put this one out again. Yeah. I was going to use the cursor, but that's kind of walk through it. Yeah, we do. Absolutely. Thank you. So I added another row here, right? And another row is Bob has a pet. This is pants 14, right? So what do you guys think? How would this work if I just wanted to select a couple columns from that? Let's just say I want to select the name of the person and the pet name. What would I search here? Since I'm selecting the wildcard, all right. If I just want to select 2 columns, what do you think it would look like? Right. So I could just say name, right? There's that, and then pet name, right? Right. So all they did is the name and pet name. And you guys will cover this on Saturday when we actually get into like using this within Node. But when you're doing a select, you only want to select the columns you're going to use in your application, right? If you do wildcards for everything, right, you're kind of asking a little bit more of the database than required, right? You only need to select the items that you're going to use within your application, right? You could certainly use wildcard for everything, and a lot of bad programming I looked at has done that. But the best practice is to say, I'm only going to include the columns that is necessary for my application. Does that make sense? Cool. Awesome. Okay, what's next? Oh, okay, so let's do this. So let's say we made a mistake, right? And we want to change, let me change this back. Okay, there we go. Okay, so let's say I want to make a change, right? Yes. What do you mean? Oh, it doesn't need to be. It's not case sensitive. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily need to. Okay. Thanks. Yeah, sorry guys. I have a bad habit of typing. This is something I do a lot of, so it's hard for me to do best practice. But yeah, there we go. So what do you think is going to happen if I run this command? Update people, set pet name equal to Bucky2, where the name equals Phil. Right? What's going to happen to that particular? What's going to happen to my table?
Change the name to.
The Bucky will turn to Bucky 2, right? Now you can imagine in Pierre's situation, if I had 5 Phils up here, right? What would happen? They'd all update the pet name, right? Because that's all it's doing. So this is why it's so important to have that primary key, right? That unique identifier, right? Does that make sense? All right, cool. Let's see. So let's run it. Just make sure it works. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, so smart. So you guys see I changed to Bucky 2, right? Right? Within this user interface, a lot of this stuff can be done using the actual Workbench application. But this is really important to know, right? I can make a lot of these edits and change and create tables and do all that stuff within the tool itself. But it's really important that we understand syntax because when you're coding, this isn't available. Okay? This is how you write SQL statements within code. All right? Does that make sense? You guys want to do something? All right. Did I cycle the instructions to adding, or no, I'm talking to Christian, sorry guys. Did I select the adding data to favorites? All right. I'll double check on my end. Okay, yeah, it should be there. That big text file. Oh, sorry. I got it, man. Yeah, I just broke it down just to help things, which obviously not thinking that totally through. All right, so guys, within this, we're just going to add some data to our favorite into our favorite DB. If you guys remember the syntax, we're doing insert into the table, right? Set of the columns that we're inserting, values, set of the values that we're entering, right? Syntax is pretty easy once you memorize it. As you can see, within the insert, it's saying, look, insert people, name has pet, lists out all the columns, and then values, insert all the actual values of those columns in the same order. Update obviously works a little differently. Now I can tell you, it's real important that this piece is here in the statement, right? What would happen if I didn't say where name equals Phil? Right? You can imagine. So for me, I was trained at a very early age to write update statements where I actually say update people, where name equals Phil. Then I come back and say set pet name equal to Bucky, just as kind of like a training for me. I do it that way just so I never make the mistake of accidentally running a statement that could potentially affect, who knows what size on a table. Does that make sense? Cool. All right. A little bit here. No, I guess not. Raise your hand if you get stuck in.
Those, see, when you have those two dashes, you raise the line out, it serves as a. Yes. Okay. So if you use to select those 4 lines, two of the execution. No, so you see here on my briefs, it says insert into people. That's the table you're inserting. But it has to be specified. You're saying insert into so you don't know, this insert is inside your songs. Also, so, disparate states. Anything, but not perfect. It could be anything. I would suggest. So first you have your grade statements, then you have transfer statements. That would make sense. Well, no, I'm saying, I'm saying keep all your grade statements together, then you keep all your answers together, just sort of group them. Right.
Yeah, so you can do that.
So there's an error. You need to say which table, into which table you're inserting.
Yeah.
Oh, you have, okay, never mind. Then you need. And you have to finish the statement.
Okay.
Because, yeah. And there's a couple of ways to write that. You first off, the order doesn't, the order matters. You don't have to list the columns in the order that they appear in that. They could be last to first, but then but if you put favorite hospital last, then you have a value for favorite hospital.
Yeah.
They just have to say the same. So. So close, go back to the query. You can also over this line right here, just right there, drag it down. That's the drag down. There you use it. Now you can see more of it, right? So you have your favorite foods table, but you don't see favorite songs. So the reason for that is you probably haven't executed the command for favorite song. So select 10 from 14. Highlight lines 10. Okay. If you do this, this will run both. Now you get the little lightning bolt. So that one. And now flashlight. Now you can see. Favorite.
Do that.
Looks like I don't see favorites. So there must be a problem. I don't see favorites. I just see favorite song. Not favorite. So that's okay. Select favorite. And then try it on. And now you right click on the line, right after that the line right click on the line. Right, turn hiding on. What that will do is it'll hide your document. Click the mouse to the bottom, mouse to the bottom of the screen. Mouse to the bottom of the screen. Go off. Click your mouse at the very bottom of the screen. But now the doc comes up because I turned hiding on. This way, mouse is away from it. So now you can see what's down here. document obscure, right? So now if you go down here and scroll to the bottom, you can see that this statement did, this statement, well, no, the error here, it didn't run the table. See the error? Table favorite songs already exists, so it didn't run it again. That makes sense. Yeah, now your favorite movies, however, is not running. I don't know why. You select it one time, you select it. Oh. No, it doesn't matter. It's saying create the movies. It says that it already exists. Yeah, I don't see it. You come down. Yeah. No. All right, close down. Okay, and go over here to your DB.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. Open. Yeah, now refresh.
Go back to our original.
There's favorite. You see, now you can open it. These are the attributes inside. Yes, now you can write your insert statements. Yes.
I know there's more to do, but I'm going to be sort of interested.
So, but it's saying in favorite. So it's here. So there is no comment in here. You're trying to insert into. See this? They're trying to insert into favorite. You're trying to insert into a column. There is no column in favorites. The column has to exist first.
I thought this automatically was what's my table?
This statement created. If you want another column, then you have to add it first. So let's say you write a row column, you point inside there.
Yeah.
There's not going to go extra after 30, whatever.
And then, so how do you, yes.
Yeah,
It's, you can, it's just saying how many errors, it's like, you can go to your.
Yeah, I agree.
If you have, so you, the table hasn't been locked. So if you try to select this.
So basically Excel.
So what's the thing, so you erase that, and you do the.
I want you to see what's happening. So right there. I would say.
So you have to put a
Now it's now it's
Good to know.
I'll show you just how it's saying.
that makes sense.
Oh, it's just giving.
You don't always have to do this. The reason for that is so the create command makes it. There is an example. Alter methodology alter a column in a SQL. Update modifies the values of alter lets you modify the data as a column of table. That makes sense. Update modifies rows, alter modifies the schema.
For some reason, the first time you guys had two, out of
So now
whatever
you
it
should be able to try running it. You need it. So you need a favorite protein. You don't have to. You know, so you don't.
So that's a pretty low score. I decided to make
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
The default thing in the incrementing.
You want to rerun the create. Only that is.
Yeah, it's already
So you're doing.
Like, like the new app. Yes, versus here, the difference here.
So now, you have your. So you must have to.
All right, guys, real quick, let's do a power clap. All right, we have a couple more exercises to get through today, so and we have very limited time due to the crunch. So I just wanted to show you guys some examples. You know you can't read this. I wish this was just slightly bigger. Can you guys see the values here at all? Okay. Okay, probably was not good. So what would happen if I said I wanted to delete the record Bob? Right. Well, right. Drop is reserved for the entire database, right? Or table. If I wanted to delete a specific record, right, I could say delete from people, right? Where in this case, I'm gonna do this. Where name is equal to Bob. Okay. What would this delete? Both Bobs, right? So we discussed it a little bit before. What would prevent me having this duplication, that error that EPR ran into? Right? What would help this? So I could just delete one record no matter what the values of the rest of the columns are. The primary key, right? Remember that auto-incremented primary key. That way I can always be sure that if I do something like this, I'm not going to be deleting the records that I don't want to, right? So I deleted Bob, and of course, oh no, both of my Bobs are gone. All right. So let's look at that same example, right? With a unique identifier. All right, so we created the tables. Okay, so we have the people. Let's take a look. Okay, let's just select all quick. All right, one sec. Hold on one sec, guys. Okay. All right. I just had to fix a little bug here. Okay, we're good. Okay. So with that auto increment, right? With that primary key, right? I can just specify one, even though I have two obeds with the same pet name, with the Boolean set to true, the pet age is both 100. If I wanted to just delete one of those records, right? This is where that unique key, right? Where the primary key makes sense, right? These never can be duplicated as how we set this up. A primary key means it can't be a duplicate number, duplicate value in this sense, right? So in this case, we know that I can just delete one of those elements based upon the unique key, right? So I can say, okay, delete from people where ID is equal to 1, right? So this will delete just this first version of this unlock, right? Of course, as best practice, we should always enter a semicolon, even though I only have one statement here, right? All right. Now I'm just going to go ahead and select. What happens if I select from people where ID equals select all where from people where ID is equal to 1? Nothing will return, right? So what do you think that's doing? Nothing's there. What if I dump this all right here? Right? There's everybody else. So that delete from, yeah, go ahead. Good question. Depends how we set up the auto increment. In this case, we created 5. Right. So if I select all from people, where ID is equal, so I can select one particular record if I want to, right? Is that what that means, right? So I could say, look, let's select from people where ID says there isn't a 1, 2, right? Who's that going to return? Huh? Yeah, that's it. Go ahead. There he is. This him, right? So I don't need to select everybody, and in most cases I wouldn't. In most cases, I just be selecting one record in the application, depending on what I'm doing, right? Unless I'm just displaying a bunch of information or doing something like that. Yeah, I guess totally depends on the situation. Obviously, then we can go ahead and do that. Okay. Let's get through. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do the next exercise. Students making and using an ID column. So we have 10 minutes to do it. Let's try to do it in 5 because I want to get through like 2 more things real quick. One choice. Compressed. Sorry, guys. And I, that's all we can do, I guess. I'll try to get as much stuff done. Keep slide going out, Christian, quick. You see the next set of instructions? What's that? Yeah, this one's making and using an ID column. All right, so we're gonna create a new database, right? You guys remember how to create a database? Okay. We're gonna create a new table. Okay, with that table, we're gonna set up a primary key called ID. Okay, and have it auto increment, right? So we gotta specify that column, set it to auto increment, and then make it a primary key. So we just did this in a couple exercises ago. So if you don't remember, we'll come around and help everybody do it. What's that? We're gonna make it. We're gonna make this, guys. It's gonna happen.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You could put in. You see that command? That says. Yeah, you get many databases. Says, okay, so you can also use
It's really unfortunate. It's because we started already on. I'm not gonna go on this all night. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, like that's what we did. I think these work better. So that's yeah. I assume that includes survey. Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, and then another one is like, well, yeah, it would almost, although there's an expense to that, I guess. Not that much. I could have probably just set up a little more. That's how I go through this. No problem. Just run through a couple of have better instruction. Now, yeah.
So it's like,
Okay.
SQL.
Yeah.
I just back to that.
Oh,
It's like really
right. So, single file sense. Yeah. I mean, I've barely. And it's funny because even Firebird, another SQL. We decided the client for that. It's called Flame Robin. Where you saw that. The worst. Do you want to see the worst interface of any application? This is Flame Robin.
Oh, good.
So you go there. Yeah. So you can connect. I can't connect. I don't know if you can, but anyway, this is the actual interface, dude, and it crashes constantly. It's just an old. Sorry, guys. I'll go back. Huh?
Made by the makers of Panopto.
Brought to you by the makers. I know. Who can't get all on the upload in the file? You can't upload mine. Well, they only want Panopto. All right, guys, we've got 2 more minutes to wrap this up. Sorry. So now oh. Yeah, you have to be very okay. You should be able to just go ahead okay, so what do you want?
So let's say like
You create the table without having.
it has a driver ID where so now like say ID two
Okay, so
Well, it's saying that programming,
right? Right. Where are you? Where ID.
what are some of the other syntax?
So-
So
Insert okay, right?
that'd be a specific.
Yeah, sure. You say update. What, like, so if you say update, what's that called? Language. Update language. Oh, I'm sorry.
Update program.
And title. So you want to upset languages. So it's set language.
So next star.
Change, say what you want to change. This is the actual, like a string. Well, you just change the language. So, yeah. So, update. Update programming language. Set language.
Yeah, that's one way to insert it.
No. I don't know. Now it's on the screen. So say what do you where? So that's kind of the level that. Yeah. All right, guys, let's go through this real quick. We only got 3 minutes, so I definitely want to cover a couple other concepts. Okay, so did we all get a chance to create it? Fist, hands up, fist five, whatever, guys. Awesome. Okay, cool. What did we learn about that? Did we learn anything cool? Is this fun stuff or what? I mean, it's interesting. We haven't done anything like this yet, right?
All right, so let's do this. Cool. So you guys all end up with something like this, right? Yeah, D, right? Right. So this is obviously our primary key now. We can use that, right? For other stuff. I only have 2 minutes. I'll Slack out the solutions for you guys to go over this. You can recreate tables and databases. Please, 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 please play around with it just for a little bit before Saturday, just so you understand. Do you guys have any questions about what we learned so far? It's just a matter of memorizing some of those commands, right? The insert, the update, the delete. Some of you guys are kind of getting into different territory, learning alters, right? Those kind of things. But we'll get into that more as a group later. Nothing? We're good so far? Okay. Sorry, I had to kind of gloss over it. Okay. One other thing I definitely want to cover before the end of today is joins. This is a world more complication of what we went over before, but I wanted to make sure that I touch on it. World of complication meaning this can be a little more complex than what we're getting, right? So here are 3 main joins. More joins than these, right? But we're gonna focus on these 3 in this particular class at this particular moment, right? Inner join, join. Left join, which is the same as left outer join. Right join, the same as right outer join, right? In the syntax, we will use join, or inner join, left join, or right join. This is our world, right? So we'll talk about this real quick. Let's say we have a table of people, or table of students, okay? And let's say we have a table of lockers, okay? Each student has a locker, right? In most cases, right? So Lindsay has a locker, Brady has a locker, Ming has a locker, right? And Hassan does not have a locker, okay? Sorry, Hassan, no locker for you, okay? Now let's say I was going to do it in a join. I'm not going to go to the syntax of this, but I will send it home with you guys, right? The syntax is something like I could select all from students, inner join locker on ID where students are set to where locker is equal to whatever. So in this case, I can say an inner join, which means I will only include Lindsay, Brady, and Ming because they have both the locker table and they're assigned to the student table. Okay, so that would be a example of an inner join. Because Hassan doesn't have a locker, he wouldn't be in this inner join, right? We have another locker available and no one has, he wouldn't be in this inner join. All right? We're kind of covering that a little bit. I'm sorry, I'm kind of going fast, but if you guys are with me so far, give me some nods. Okay. So this is just a cross. Go ahead. Okay.
So like in the people, so mention the people table.
Students.
Students has an ID. You're gonna have a student ID. How do we? And then over here in the locker column, imagine. But let's say you have like the locker ID. Then you also have like, the owner of that locker. That's going to
Right.
a key. That's going to be a person.
So yeah, so let's so just I thank you, yeah. But yeah, just conceptually visualize the situation at this point. You know, but yes, that's exactly the syntax of how this would be written. It's hard to think about, but just conceptually let's do it. Left join, if I'm calling on students, but I want to see students and lockers, would include Lindsay, Brady, Ming, and Hassan, right? Even though this would be known for Hassan. He would not have a locker, right? In this case, a right join, what do you think it means? Just the lockers, right? Whereas we'd see nothing for Hassan, nothing, right? So this says focus on the lockers. This says focus on the students, right? And in this case, we're getting that section of both, right? This will be your most typical join. These two will be your most typical joins you use in the real world by far, right? Because there's going to be a situation where you say, okay, I wanted this set of people or this particular person, but I want the locker that is associated with that particular person, right? Does that make sense? Or I want this person, right? And anything that they have set up for this, or any locker that they may have that we not have, right? It may be a null, right? It's not, right? All right. So do you guys want to see what that syntax looks like super quick? Or do you, okay, sorry, I'm running late. Let me see. Okay, so in this example, what I'm going to pull out are books and authors, and I'll show you what this looks like, and I'll send this home with you guys. Please take a second to play with it. I want super quick. Okay. Okay, so in this example, what we have is authors and we have books, right? So in this, if we were going to say, let me see, hold on. Okay. All right, shoot, I don't have time to go through it. Let me, okay. I'll just show you guys what the syntax means and how it works. Okay. All right, so in this example, right, I'm doing an inner join, which is the same as a join. So what's this particular select going to do? I'm going to select just the title, just the first name, just the last name from books, right? But I'm going to do a join, inner join on authors. I'm going to bring that in, right? I'm going to bring in authors. Where am I going to make that join? I'm going to make it on author ID because in books and in author, they share an author ID, right? The author ID would not be the primary key on books, right? It would just be another ID. So let's just take a quick look at books. And we can see we have a primary key for books, right? We have a foreign key or a key or a column for author ID, right? And we have a title, right? So this is just books. All of these, if I'm deciding I want to join authors to their books, I'm only going to get books that have authors, right? So in this example, right, if I was going to go, let me pull it back. Yeah, let me see this. Okay, so in this example, as an inner join, I'm going to pull all the books that have authors associated with them, the inner join. Remember, guys? So that would just include ones that have both, right? In this case, right? So I'll let you guys go, so I don't want to run you later. But I'll send all the examples of this stuff. Please play around with it. Do just a tiny bit of research on joins. Don't worry about any of the other joins at this point. Just worry about these three main ones. All right?
So here, I selected there is a great graphic that shows how the drawing works. And I selected because you have also the outer. No, but actually, you know that. I don't.
Never expected that.
Good, there's a reason why it looks like something's missing.
Yes. On the official course, I have to check.